Hi, I'm Chris or Crispy Bacon. Could you please rate my spaghetti, please? I'll try my best. So far we have beef here, ground beef. Now, I'm not perfect at cooking, but I kind of want to open a cooking restaurant. Just a restaurant. A diner, per se. Because I'm from New Jersey, although I live in Texas, and I want to bring that diner style to Texas. So let me go ahead and get the beef out of the package first. Again, I'll admit, I'm in no way perfect. So, don't judge too harshly. And now, as I was handling ground beef, you always gotta wash your hands. I'm gonna wash my phone because I was just carrying it with ground beef. Yeah. Alright. So after a thorough wash with I use dish soap and water, let's get our tool. Here we go. I like to use this. It makes spaghetti meat and taco meat. Let me actually turn on the heat here. Our fridge makes the meat a little cold. So, I'm going to have to let it cook a moment. But until then, we're going to fill this pot halfway with water. Now, the pot's not perfectly clean, so I'm going to wipe it out. And now for the remainder of this cooking, since I have really long hair, I'm going to be wearing a hat that will hopefully protect the hair from getting in the food. I turned it on a bit hot to start, so it would heat up faster and soften up the meat. Now I'm just going to make it into not too fine, but smaller pieces than an entire roll of ground beef. Again, at least I don't want to break it up too much. I'm not trying to make taco meat. I just want to break it up for the remainder of a moment. Now, I'm obviously going to wash this tool. And I'm going to wash it now so I don't have to later cut these out. Alright, now that the meat's cooking, I'm going to just move it around, make sure each side gets evenly cooked. I'm not quite going to start the noodles yet, but I will turn it on a little bit to get the water hot. I'll just turn it on high because that's what we do to boil the water. Now, if you know or don't know, don't worry, that's a bubble, that's not dirt in there. Adding a little bit of salt helps it boil just slightly faster, and I feel it gives the noodles a slight bit of taste to them. Just add a little bit of salt. Now as this meat starts heating up, you want to just let it cook for a little bit. You don't want to move it too much because it won't have a chance to cook. Now, I'm also going to be making some cheese bread. I know, preheated, it only takes 15 minutes, but I'm going to make it better than what it came with. So it comes with a fair amount of cheese. It's actually really good, not gonna lie. So now, I'm gonna add garlic powder with parsley. Just a little bit. My dad likes a lot in there, so I'm gonna make sure I get a fair amount. But not too much, because we don't want to overkill. We don't want garlic breath here. That's never good. Yeah, I'll use my bare hand, as you're probably gonna see. But remember, I washed my hands, which after every time of touching food, you gotta wash them. I only used the one hand this time, so proper soap. And wash, wash, wash. Always gotta wash your hands before and after touching food. You don't want germs getting on them, after all. Now that the meat's getting pretty cooked, I know, again, pre-made sauce, but it's what we have. But I'm going to spice it up a little bit. Now, little known trick, the sauce is still in the bottle. You have not poured it yet until you add the water for the last of the sauce. You take it, shake it, and pour that last bit in there. Because as you'll see now, more sauce. Haha. Alright, now that water is heating up and this is cooking, we're going to switch burners. Yeah, I know, the meat's still pink, but it's going to cook while it's in the sauce, don't worry. I'm going to crank it up over here. Don't worry, I'm not going to serve raw meat. It ain't like that. Alright, so now I've swapped burners. This one's lower, at a 5, and this one's now at high again. So this stuff can boil. As you can see, there's some bubbles at the bottom. That means it's getting like it's going to start boiling soon. But with this sauce, I'm not done. I know it's freeze-dried basil and not fresh, but again, what we have. So I'm going to add a fair amount of basil here. You probably can't see what I just did, but it's a fair amount. Add that into the sauce and let it cook in. I'm also going to chop up some onion. And I'm actually going to caramelize the onion beforehand. Sorry, this fridge is loud. So, I'll be right back. I did not just mean to flip you off. I meant to do the piece. I didn't mean to flip you off. I'm so sorry. Alright, now that I have my onions medium diced, I'm only adding a little bit. I'm not going too fancy. I gotta wash my hands again because they got onion on them. Always want to wash your hands. I know it's repetitive, but trust me, if you want to own a restaurant, which I already know, you got to be very sanitary. Alright, this is starting to cook. Now I want to flip the meat around because, again, I need to cook every side of the meat. Make sure there is no pink because you can see what I can see, there's pink. Now, I'm going to add a little bit of garlic to this sauce. And because we have it, I'm also, well, first I'm going to start the onion. Here we go. Here's a little saucepan. I'm going to saute some onion. Put that at around a 5. We had fancy olive oil from, like, Italy, but it's HEB olive oil now. We ran out. Now, I'm just going to scrape these onions in here. Get a second spatula, just a small one, that'll move the onions around. Let that heat up. Turn this down a little bit because you don't want it to boil all of the liquid out. Now, oh, sorry, kitty. I accidentally walked into a cat. Alright, now here comes my favorite part. Parmesan and mozzarella. We're going to add it directly into the sauce and let it cook in. Just a little bit, not too much. You don't want to overload it with cheese. Alright, I touched the cheese, so I'm going to wash my hand a little. Alright. Now, the water's getting ready to boil, and the onion is starting to sizzle, so I'm going to move that around a little bit. I'm also going to mix in my cheese. Make sure that gets a nice serving in there. We're going to add the onion when it's done caramelizing a little bit and sauteing. See, watch that cheese melt in. And it's mozzarella and Parmesan, because you're never going to add cheddar, and oh my god, the dreaded Kraft Singles America, no. I would never. Let alone eat Kraft Singles. Cheddar's good for one thing, grilled cheese. And burgers, of course. Alright, now that the sauce is getting good, I'm really just mixing in the cheese right now. I gotta scoop these onions around, they're starting to sizzle. And now that we're getting close to the 15-minute mark, I gotta start baking some cheese bread. Our kitchen ain't perfectly clean, I'll admit. But it's home. Alright. Put in some cheese bread, bake it, and start. Yeah, I'm putting it in the toaster oven. That thing's a lifesaver. It's an oven and a toaster. And we have a toaster and coffee machine. Hate to brag, but we live it good. That's not quite boiling yet. Because, I don't know, some of you might call that boiling. You want to wait till it's really boiling to put in the pasta noodles. Or spaghetti. Alright, now to get our spaghetti just to be prepared. That's fettuccine. Aha! I can recognize the spaghetti noodle by the size and shape. Now that's some spaghetti if I say so. Alright, it's getting there, not quite. I'll be back when I put in the spaghetti noodles. I lied, I didn't put in the noodles. But you want the onion to cook down, by the way. The onion actually cooks down, believe it or not. When you cook it, it'll shrink. Could you believe it? I'm just showing you. The onions look different on your screen because it's seeing the olive oil. I see it too, but it's a little different for me. Now is about the time I might put the noodles in. I'm going to let it boil just a little more. Now, obviously, as everyone knows, or most people would know, hopefully I would hope you'd know, you take your pasta noodles, you take a fair amount. We're feeding 3 people here, me, my mom, and my dad. You take a pretty good amount. Oh, don't worry, I'm not wasting that noodle. Rinse it. Now, I don't know how many people actually know this, but the forbidden thing you do not break the pasta. You don't break the pasta. Trust me, it will boil down and it will fit. Look at it. It's already fitting. See? You don't have to break it. It just floats in. That's why you wait till the water's boiling. Get our pasta spoon here. Look at that. See, it's already in there. Pasta goes pretty fast. Don't break it up either. Let it do its thing. Alright, the onions are looking pretty cooked. I'm going to turn down the water a little bit. Flip the onions. Oh, my pasta spoon almost fell. Now to add them to the sauce. They're pretty cooked. I'm gonna add some fresh onion. I know, they don't look that appetizing for all you who don't like onion. But trust me, this onion will change this dish. Whether you believe it or not. Watch it just disappear into the meat sauce. See that? You want meatball sized. These aren't meatball sized, but you want medium sized meat. You don't want taco meat. Like, this here would be taco meat. The size of that, you don't want that. You want more of this size. This, or a little smaller, around this. I'm going to stir this and make sure it's all good. Then I'm going to turn it to low for now, so that it just simmers while the pasta cooks. Now, it's not done, obviously. When it's thick, it's not done. You want it al dente. Which, if you don't know, is perfectly soft. Not too thick, not too soft. You don't want it to be mush, but you don't want it to be crunch. So I'm going to let that boil for some time. I'll be back when it's done. It's almost al dente. I just got to give it like another minute or so and it'll be ready. While I wait for that minute to finish for it to be al dente, I'm going to clear out my sink and I'm going to properly clean it because we're going to be straining the noodles. Now, we don't want any of this garbage in the sink to get on it. So I'm going to properly coat my sink with soap, scrub it. We don't want any of these contaminants in the food. We don't talk about that side. Okay, my phone ran out of storage, but basically what you want to do is you strain the noodles after you have a clean strainer, and then before you put them in, you add some olive oil to your pot and stir in the noodles. Despite what you think, it will not it will not fry the noodles. You put olive oil and put them in. Now, I have to hurry up before my phone runs out of storage again. Tell me. This is just a little quick thing. I'm not going to show the bread. You gotta twist it. Tell me, is this approved? Peace.